right, so my next guest is a published author. She's the Eastern Surfing Association's SNC Women's Champion. She was a college scholarship softball player, but she is probably best known for being an actress and the lead of the upcoming Unplanned movie coming out March 29th. Ashley Bratcher, welcome to Pure Hollywood.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, no, I'm so glad you're here. Honestly, this was probably the most fun I've had researching someone I'm going to talk to because there are so many fun facts about you. Surfing, softball, how did you land in acting?
Oh, man. I went to the North Carolina State Fair. I'm not kidding. There was a booth when I was in college at the State Fair, and it said, "Do you want to be an actor?" And I thought, yeah, why not? So I auditioned for this local commercial, and I booked it, and I was like, maybe I can do this. I was in my senior year of college, and so I thought I might as well go for it. You know, I'm young. I don't have anything to lose. And so I moved up to New York, got an agent, and the rest is history.
I thought the North Carolina Fair is where you become a surfer and a softball player and an actress. So that was just the acting thing. That was the only thing that happened at that magical fair.
Yeah, my friends make fun of me because they say that, you know, I've done everything. They think I've lived 10 different lives because of all the different random things that I've done in my life.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to read through all that stuff. It was awesome.
Right now I'm doing jiu-jitsu. That's my new thing.
Gonna be doing it competitively or just to, you know, stay in great shape?
Well, I did compete last year.
Okay.
But this year I haven't had time, and I can't risk getting hurt or production. But last year I competed, and I placed silver in my division.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that, and congratulations on the upcoming movie. And my question to you is, like, obviously, you are the face of the movie. Literally, your face is the entire poster with a tear. So did you know who Abby Johnson was and what this movie was about before you auditioned?
No, it was really weird because the way I found out about the film casting was through Instagram. I had this random Instagram follower who had been following me for maybe a year, and she just feels called to pray for people in the industry, but I didn't really know her. And so she sends me this message, and she says, "Hey, there's this movie casting, and I'm thinking that you're meant to play the role. God told me you're meant to play this role." And I'm thinking, okay, this lady's crazy. But she kept on, and she said, you know, "I have a connection with the producer. Will you please audition?" And I just blew her off because I thought it was going to be one of these low budget, cheesy Christian films. And little did I know, 2 weeks later, she messaged me again and said, "Hey, will you audition?" And I said, "What do I have to lose? Fine, just send me the sides." So the producer sends me the sides. I put myself on tape, and the only thing I knew about Abby at that point was that she was pro-choice and she worked at Planned Parenthood. So I had no idea that this was even going to be a pro-life film at that point. And it was after the audition that I actually researched her because I found out it was a true story. And I listened to her testimony, and holy smokes, it just rocked my world.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable story. Like, that's such a non-typical way to get involved in one of these projects. And then, you know, 6 months later, however it's been since you filmed, now you're on Fox News touring and talking about it. That's got to be absolutely wild. And for you, because I know you learned that she was pro-life, did you have any specific convictions coming to abortion when it came to abortion before you started? Or were you pretty open-minded going into it?
I think I was middle of the road, like most of America, in my opinion. I didn't really know all the ins and outs of what happens in an abortion procedure. And I thought, okay, well, there are certain circumstances where I can understand and think it's okay. And then after doing the film and seeing behind the scenes and understanding everything that's involved and gaining a deeper insight into when life begins scientifically, I went and studied at Notre Dame at an institute for over a week this year just so that I could understand the scientific aspect of it. And I was just blown away. I just knew that I was wrong, and that now I don't think that it's okay in any situation. I think that every life begins from conception and has a purpose.
Yeah, it's a quote from Andrew Breitbart, where he's saying that sunlight is the best disinfectant. More information is always better. And the side that keeps scuttling information and removing it from the public and blocking stuff, they're probably in the wrong. And the more you know, and that's what I found out with all my friends that are pro or abortion activists or pro-choice or whatever, they just don't know most of the time what's coming out there because the information is so skewed and false, that's one of the reasons I'm so glad that this particular movie is coming out. And I'm glad you were able to do that preparation, going to Notre Dame and learning more about it. I think that's awesome. And you had a unique opportunity as an actress where you get to play a real person, which not a lot of people get to do. So did you get to meet Abby beforehand? Did you learn mannerisms, or did you just kind of get an idea and wing it?
Well, I watched a ton of her videos, but when I got the call that I had booked the film, I only had 5 hours to get on a plane and fly out to Oklahoma, and that was only 4 days before we started shooting. And I want to say the script was over 100 pages. And as you know, that's not typical, right? I
No, it's
mean,
not.
you get at least weeks to prepare for a role like this.
Hmm.
So the first thing I did was ask the producers for Abby's phone number. And I want to say the second day that I had arrived in Oklahoma, I called her and had a 30-minute long conversation with her. I was listening on Audible to her book because I'd never read her book before. I watched every YouTube video I could find. And what happened was is that we ended up having a lot of the same mannerisms anyway. I felt like we had known each other forever. I think it was a very divinely appointed role for me to have, just because we are very much alike in certain ways. And when we got on set, it was funny because some of the things that I would improv in the scenes, she had said, and I had no idea. So she'd come back and she'd read the script. And she's like, "That's not in the script." I said, "Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's what I'd say." And she's like, "That's what I said." So it's really cool to see that kind of happen.
Yeah, you guys, it's funny, y'all's accent is somewhat similar as well, because I think you're more like, y'all are both almost in the same line. Just Texas, I think you're Atlanta, or in the same area, or South Carolina. Yeah, that's awesome. So, but that's more like the fun side. I was curious too, because it is such a hot button issue. How did your agent feel about it when you actually said you're going to do this? Because they have an image of what you're going to do, what you're going to be. How did your agent handle it?
Well, I've always had a really great relationship with my agent, and from the very beginning, I let her know what my boundaries were and what my purpose was in the industry. And I think it's really important for actors to have that strong foundation and to have those boundaries, because then your agent isn't submitting you for things that they know you're just not going to want to do. And she was very understanding and accepting of that up front. And so when I called her, she didn't have a lot of time to even figure out what the project was about. I called her and I said, "Hey, Vanessa, I just booked this project. I'm about to get on a plane. They just like, I got to go pack, and here's the deal." And so I turned it over to her. And what I didn't know is that after while she was doing all the paperwork, the legalities of a contract, she actually went out and bought the book and read it immediately. So
That's a good agent.
yeah. She's a really great agent, and I mean, she supports me no matter what. I mean, regardless of whether she's pro-choice or pro-life, which she hasn't revealed to me, I don't know. She has stood by me. She's just said, "I believe in your talent. I believe in this film," and that's it.
I have a question too, because a lot of people that watch these videos are really curious about kind of the acting world, and I know, like for me, someone that works in there as well, it's a very subjective place. I mean, you have thousands of people auditioning for these roles, all good-looking, talented people, and sometimes it literally comes down to, I don't like that person's hair. They're not getting the job. And now you have people that are gatekeepers in Hollywood particularly, who literally check under the bed every night for Donald Trump or are staunchly pro-choice, that if they see this, maybe they'll have a different opinion of you. And personally, I know a friend who is a great actor, a lead, actually led Josh Hutcherson in a movie, was the lead in that movie. And in the same day after he posted a pro-life article, he was dropped by his manager and agent. Did you have, I know, were you afraid of the discrimination that comes potentially a part of that, or do you think that's kind of overplayed?
So there's a couple of things. First, I am very strong in my faith. That's the foundation by which I live by. And I received the word a long time ago in Revelation that God can open doors that no man can close, and he can close doors that no man can open. So I've always held on to that because it's truth, right? And so I don't think that this film is going to, derail my career in any sense. And if someone does want to discriminate against me, I think that says more about their character than mine, because in the industry, everyone's supposed to be so open-minded. We're telling stories of all different kinds of people, and that's what this is. It's a true life story. So no matter where you stand on the issue, you have to see the film for what it is. And yeah, I happen to be vocally pro-life, but so what? There are actors that have all kinds of opinions. So the fact that I'm openly pro-life, that's just part of who I am. And I think because I've been respectful in my approach and I'm open-minded and I have conversations with people, I feel pretty much respected. I've had a lot of people reach out to me that are pro-choice and they're strangers and they say, "I don't agree with you, but I respect you." And that's been the biggest compliment to me so far.
I think that's terrific. And I was wondering how much you were able to talk to different actors, interact with people after this movie came out on Instagram and stuff, because I know in Los Angeles, where they were casting many of the roles for this movie, I had some friends that I go to church with, that I respect and love, that literally would not go into audition because they were terrified of what would happen, their image out here, because it seems like only one person's opinion, only one view of the world is accepted. So I was really glad that you're able to talk to people. And did you kind of have that in mind almost, of being able to take a stand and break out and be like, no, look, it's okay to do this role. It's okay to have these opinions for the next people coming up? Or was it just, or was that even in the back of your mind going into it?
Not really at all. I think other people were way more concerned than I was, just because I know myself really well and I don't place my worth in my projects and I don't live in fear. I know whose I am and who I serve. And because of that, I just don't have this fear. I mean, I really just live in this place where I know that God has me under his wing and he's my provider, and I find my worth in Jesus Christ. So that makes it really simple for me.
That's terrific. Yeah, I think it's just so encouraging for the next person that may take a Hollywood controversial role and be like, no, Ashley did it. I'm good. I'm going to go out there and kill it. I think,
Yeah.
I think that's great. I really do.
Industry respects that.
Yeah. So what kind of pushback have you gotten? Has it been worse from the or has it been bad from the critics, or has it been more from the people that are on the pro-abortion side?
None whatsoever. And that's what blows my mind, is that on my personal platform, I think there's been maybe 3 people who were just trolling that had nothing substantial to say except for ugly things. Like the most typical thing is, I wish you were aborted. Well, that's original. I'm not really affected by it. And like I said before, even pro-choice people are coming to me and they're saying, I respect you. And that to me means more than anything, because I mean, that's what we want to do, is we want to be able to engage in conversation. That's what's missing a lot, especially with millennials, is that we don't know how to engage in civil debate, because we sit behind computers and we become keyboard warriors instead of having face-to-face contact where we can sit and have a civil debate about what we disagree on.
Absolutely. That is so needed today. And hopefully more shows and entertainment that represents other views, so we can have a more balanced perspective, which hopefully will come from this movie as well. And you've seen the movie, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you hope? I'm not going to ask you if it's good, because obviously, like, it's amazing. I want to know, like, for you personally, what do you hope people take away from the movie when they watch it?
I hope that people have an undeniable revelation of what abortion truly is. I hope they step out and they have a conversation. They say, I didn't know that. I really want to talk about this. And then the other piece to this film is the redemption. I mean, Abby didn't really live this perfect life. She admits to doing a lot of things that were pretty scandalous, if you will. And on top of feeling this tremendous guilt of assisting on over 22,000 abortions, being held accountable for that. And she found her grace in her faith. I mean, that, and also it's a really courageous thing when you can step out and say, I was wrong. It takes a lot of guts to do that, especially on a platform like this.
Absolutely. And she's really putting herself out there, and she is such a great person to hold that mantle. Abby Johnson is fantastic. If you want to follow her, anyone like that, go to abbyjohnson.com. You can also follow Ashley Bratcher at her Twitter, which is @_Ashley Bratcher. Just like Abby Johnson. She shouldn't have the blue check mark yet, but it's coming. So be watching for her there. Ashley, Thank you so much for talking. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya. Did you enjoy that video? Of course you enjoyed that video. So now you need to become a premium member to the Rebel. That way you have first access to Pure Hollywood and the entire Rebel lineup.